Bad night for everyone who voted for him, too. You just don't realize it yet.
Jimmy Kimmel, thank you. He teared up there. Speaking of which, we come out of the gate with a Guess the Quote, Chris. Who said guzzle our salty liberal snowflake tears and choke on them, you racist, sexist mother? We are not, because we're not done fighting. Who said that?
Jerry Mouse.
No, apparently I did. Shelley quote tweeted me.
Okay.
Because you know what? Because Dana and I both cried, from our souls yesterday, just for this country that we love, for the people that are going to suffer. And you know what? And I was saying there's these maggot asshats that obviously are trying to call into the show, and they're like, oh, I love this. Someone asked me on Twitter, oh, can you keep this up for 4 years? This is great. They're tuning in just to see our pain.
Yeah.
Just to see us cry. And seriously, choke on them. You know what? We wear our empathy in our heart proudly as a badge of honor. And so it's please, with Trump going, oh, we're going to unite now, and J.D. Vance saying, be kind, after they ran the nastiest, meanest campaign in history. And now, really? You start first. Really? People are getting, black people in state after state are getting text messages talking about, turn up to pick cotton at X hour. Oh, my God. I mean, my heart just literally hurt when I read these text messages, because they're emboldened and they think it's okay now and it's funny and they can be just as racist and horrible and mean as they, and so that's why there's obviously a lot to talk about, but I get annoyed with just the economic argument, because really, black people are getting told to show up to pick cotton, and the racism was not a part of this. Absolutely, it was a part of it. And I think you and I, we should be, full disclosure, we got in a fight before the show. I love you. I know it is important to, obviously be kind and lift each other up. I was half kidding. I said, I'm going to get in a fight with you. I didn't, but I guess, we had a discussion after the show. And I think you're right. I've obviously agreed with you about a lot of things, that clearly this was a lot of, first of all, I have to say, though, the number one thing in exit polling for them was democracy, was not the economy. Yeah. So what do you make of that? Because, again, I would say the biggest thing is this wall of lies that Trump was able to win on. You can't say it's anything other than lies. He was able to and silly us, we thought we could win on facts. But I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Huh?
You thought we could win on facts.
Right, but what I'm saying is he convinced them that we're the ones trying to destroy democracy. I mean, that was their number one issue. Yeah. So it's what I was saying is it's this disinformation ecosystem.
Their entire right-wing information system was spewing that out like a fire hose.
Right.
And, when people block right-wingers or don't watch right-wing TV or whatever, they have no idea that all of this is going on, and people are constantly surprised by this. I'm kind of tuned into right-wing media, I'm not surprised by this.
I watch, and I got a letter. Oh my God, by the way, I'll try to get to all your letters and tweets, and I know a lot of people are too shy to call, and I think people want to know how we're all feeling, and so there's a lot of great emails, tweets, threads. We'll get to as many calls as we can, because I know people have a lot of thoughts and feelings, and we have to have this national conversation. We took what did Barack Obama call it? A shellacking, man. There's no other way to say it. We took a shellacking. Yeah. And so, your points are not incorrect, Chris. I think it's
a whole lot of stuff.
You said yesterday, Democrats have to stop talking down to people. And my point was, I don't think Kamala Harris talked down to people. She was the only one that had actual plans. Here's what I'm going to do about corporate price gouging. I know prices are too high. I get what you're saying about us saying, no, everything's great. Because I get it. By the economic numbers, by the facts, we're right. By the jobless numbers, the stock market inflation rate is way down. I get, but you're saying...
But when liberals say to people, no, it's not, you're not really feeling economic pain.
I get it, but Kamala Harris didn't do that. Kamala Harris didn't do that. She said over and over, prices are too high. Here's what I'm going to do. Corporate greed, corporate price. Here's how I'm going to help you buy a house. Here's how I'm going to help you keep your mom in her home with Medicare. You know what I'm saying, Chris, is that Trump, meanwhile, my point is that everything he said was a lie. It's like, I get it. economic anxiety, but what he was telling them is illegals are getting all your stuff. All the FEMA relief is going to illegals. All the, it's going to transgender surgery on illegals in prison. Stuff that are just complete lies.
Right. But when that sort of thing resonates with even the Latino community, we have a problem.
We have a problem. We have a huge disinformation problem. I mean, it's because that's what I'm saying. Those of us in the fact-based community go, well, who would believe this ridiculous stuff that they're doing? You're sending your kid to school, a boy, and he's coming back a girl without your permission. Like, who would believe that? They do, Chris. I'm sorry. My point, real quick. Sorry, don't mean to interrupt. A listener, to your point, wrote and said, I understand how this happened. I live somewhere where Fox News is on all the time.
Yeah.
And they echo all these lies.
Yeah.
So,
but there's always the LGBT scapegoat in every election.
Always.
Before it was gay marriage.
Oh my God!
And now it's trans people. So there's always the LGBT scapegoat. I'm used to that.
Remember the 2004 with the two grooms on the cake that they ran against John Kerry?
Yeah.
I mean, so it's always
there's always an LGBT scapegoat.
Yeah.
So like I said, I'm not surprised by that. It always happens.
Yeah. Anyway, I heard a data analyst that I thought it actually was really interesting, that he just said historically, when you go through all the numbers in all the elections, he said it has to do with the approval rating of the current president, period. And Biden's at 40%. And they were saying, he went through Carter, whoever, no one's ever won at that number. So he was even saying Kamala Harris got 48%. She did an extraordinary thing, actually.
She did great.
But
it wasn't enough.
Right, but what I'm saying is it goes to the point that Biden probably wouldn't have won either in terms of us going, we shouldn't have pushed him out and he shouldn't.
Right.
And I agreed with a lot of that.
That is useless talk. That is absolutely useless.
And also the media, just did such a horrible job on the ageism, and the both sides do it, that I think, even before the debate, that bad debate that Biden had. Anyway, but you're right. If it's just about prices in the economy, it wouldn't matter if it was Biden or Harris or whoever. Millions of people are buying the lies this guy puts out that is echoed by the way, Russian-funded right-wing broscape. You know what I mean? There's that and Fox News, and it's.
But I also think that legacy media, that I've heard this mentioned yesterday, legacy media needs to realize that it's not as important as it used to be.
Yeah.
And the media has shattered into a million different pieces.
Yeah.
And candidates need to service every single one of those million little pieces somehow, some way.
I think, Chris, the thing is, a lot of us would feel better if we lost on an honest debate on the issues. And people just disagreed with us, but they voted on a complete pack of ridiculous lies. And I think that's what's...
But something led these people to believe those lies.
Yeah.
And we need to find out what it was that allowed people to believe these lies.
By the way, the find out part of the around and find out plan has already started. Did you see the one company is already telling its employees no Christmas bonuses because because of the tariffs?
Yeah.
They're afraid they're gonna happen. They got to buy all their material now. Yeah. So no, I mean, it's just Okay.
Did you see the interesting factoid that Rocky Mountain Mike sent overnight?
Which one?
Trump has an idea for whoever his chief of staff is going to be. It's going to be the woman who led his campaign.
Susie Wiles, yeah.
Yes, it's Pat Summerall's daughter.
Yes. Would you like another fun fact?
Sure.
She was one of the key witnesses in the classified documents case.
Yeah.
How many hours do I have with Glenn coming up?
He's coming up in 15 minutes.
Oh, God. Justice is no longer circling our nipples.
Yeah. But for those of us in broadcasting...
Justice has left us with blue balls.
Yeah. But for those of us in broadcasting, Pat Summerall's daughter, I think, is just kind of funny.
Okay. Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Here, speaking of lifting people up instead of beating them down, thank you, everybody. I gotta say, I can't possibly write back to everybody or tweet back to everybody or thread back, but this means so much to me, and because I want to say, we're all scared. We're all we're all like shaken by all of this. Janice in Sacramento says, Steph, wanted to add my own to the chorus of voices thanking you for holding us all together. On Tuesday night, I literally couldn't sleep all night. I was thinking, just wait till 6 a.m. Steph and the gang will be on. You'll be able to breathe then. Wednesday evening, after crying on and off all day, I was listening to my Steph cast, and I laughed out loud. The sound actually surprised me. I did not expect to be laughing again so soon. I 100% agree that Brave is the right choice for our new song. Well, Janice, the patriarchy already decided. Lonnie and Chris already decided that instead of the fighter.
My friend Jefferson said, no, I think it should be fighter. It's more angry.
Oh, well, another member of the patriarchy has chimed in.
Uh-huh.
Thank you for being honest about your scariest thoughts. I agree with the other listener who said it makes me know I'm not alone. It was so moving to hear you talk about how your show is your passion, these values of ours, and all people are worthy of respect, that the common folk are the backbone of this country, should be supported, worthy of passion. Thank you for being the chick who cries on the radio, because I'm now the chick who cries off the radio. Let's all continue to cry and be brave together. Janice in Sacramento. Thank you, honey. Thank you for a lot of those. Let this be our meeting place, to laugh, to cry, to rage, to fight sometimes, but, you know, I love Jimmy Kimmel, you know, again, all of us comedians are going to have to lead the way, because laughter is going to be so important. But, you know, he also has a heart. He also choked up for a lot of different people that are going to be hurt by what happened. So, you know, anyway, I just want you to know I appreciate more than you know. I'll try to get to as many as I can. Chloe, having a day to grieve what happened with the election. I'll be turning off news while this crap show goes on, but Stephanie Miller's show will be my port in a storm. Thank you. Thank you. Should we play Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald?
No.
Okay.
Patriarchy has spoken.
America sunk like the Edmund Fitzgerald, but I'm your port in a storm.
Or the wreck in the lime green pashmina. We could play that.
Oh, there you go. Let's find that. Okay. Tacoma says, thank you, Steph. Thank you for all you do. Your show today was the first time I've laughed since you know what. So important. Thank you. We will get through this together. See you at the Warner on January 18th. Trust me, I was like, oh, God, DC. 2 months, we're going to need this more than ever. So we will see you in DC for the Sexy Liberal finale.
The legend lives on from Cheektowaga on down. Uncle Ben
Cheektowaga?
Won't you goose me? Superior she feels if she's had a good meal, and her ideas come from I love Lucy. With a fresh load of cash, she went out for a bash, fully loaded with her box of vino. And later that night, with Cher's arm on her right, came the wreck in the lime green pashmina.
That's me.
Yep.
Who thought lime green was a good idea? Me, I guess.
You did.
Cher did not.
No, she did not.
Oh, dear.
I'm surprised she didn't say something to you about that.
I know, exactly. Oh, wow, that's terrible. Okay, I'm late already.
Yeah,
that was a lot of angst.
Okay.
Okay.
Here, have some
And eventually you have the racist KKK fighting the fascist Antifa in the streets of Charlottesville. Both sides.
Boy, I'll tell you, the media sure gets one thing right. The extreme right wing and the extreme left wing in this country have both totally gone off the rails.
America is being destroyed by people on both sides thinking that the other side is destroying the world.
So many insane ideas on the left and the right, and I'm sorry, but real Americans have had it. We only hear about what the far right wants and the far left wants, but what about the majority, huh?
My take is that we should condemn violence and extremism on both sides.
On the right, you have these extremists who want to overthrow democracy and have a violent revolution. They want to deregulate the polluters poisoning our air and water. They want to privatize Social Security. And on the left, these extremist nut jobs think every American should have health care. It's insane, and it's both sides, people.
I blame both sides.
I mean, these nut jobs on the right are white supremacist Confederates who reject the 2020 election, they reject science, and they want armed civil war. And these extremist nutjobs on the left think women should have control over what happens to their own bodies. I mean, hello, is this the America we know? What? This is what Andrew Yang warned us about, guys.
Quit drinking that Kool-Aid, because we're hearing it from both sides, the extreme right and the extreme left, and they have the microphone.
Because real America sees these right-wing fascists trying to scale back voting rights, trying to scale back LGBT rights, trying to sunset Social Security and Medicare. And then you got these psychopaths on the left who actually believe that Medicare should cover vision, hearing, and dental. When did both sides lose their minds, people?
America is being moved into chaos by people on both sides.
It's like the media says, what happened to the center? Actually, the media moved the center over here to the right, but what happened to it now that it's over here? Both sides don't want to put women in jail for abortion. Both sides don't play dumb about police brutality. Both sides don't want to do nothing about student loan debt. Both sides don't want to play dumb about the climate crisis. Both sides don't want to save white supremacist Confederate symbols. Both sides don't want to decriminalize weed. Both sides don't pretend that Donald Trump's spreading a racist smear for years that the first black president wasn't really born here and isn't really one of us, isn't racist. Both sides don't want to make it easier for 21-year-old males to get their hands on weapons designed to kill lots of humans really fast.
But having said that, I understand what he meant by both sides.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe for more. Give us a like, give us a good review, and subscribe to the John Fugelsang podcast too.
an election where economic anxiety was the biggest issue. Really, an 80-year-old Jewish socialist was going to win. I don't.
Yeah, some of the things he's been saying.
And I
have
love
been like,
Bernie.
well,
Please, let's not flame.
Yeah, some of the things he's been saying in the last couple of days have been a little ridiculous. I think.
I didn't hear. Okay, we can only take so much. My glass is full, as is yours. Let's go to Johnny in South Florida. Hello.
Hey, good morning, sexy mama.
Hi.
I just called to say I love you.
Aww.
And your whole crew. And I have 3 quick love letters. Firstly, mama, you was young, you was funny, you was smart, and you are a babe on some days.
Thank you. Thank you on behalf of
Chris,
yes.
dearly departed
You're
Rush
hot bottom.
Limbaugh.
Yes.
Right, Chris. Your hot bod is a joy to wake up to every day. You're witty, and you have fantastic taste in music.
Thank
so
you.
That makes up for all the being wrong. So.
Okay,
Remind everyone you know
Jody.
you is kind, you is smart, you is important. Yeah.
That's right, all of them, every one of the mooks, everybody. Jody, as you shop for your Spanish villa south of the border,
No.
please know we love you. We need you on this wall. We love
do.
your smile.
We need everybody.
We love your hilarious, her Hollywood stories, her spicy quips.
We need everybody.
And I have a challenge.
Yes.
Quick challenge to the Stephanie Miller Cinematic Universe to totally flood this show and all of the Mooks podcast with love letters, messages, donations, whatever you can do. You know, and I think it'd be really great if you had some love letters that were so over the top that it made Chris cringe. So that's my message.
That's the main reason to read them.
Yeah, every letter
I want
makes
to
me
see Chris blush because, you know, he put us through that whole ashwagandha
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
I think we can do it.
Yeah,
We can do it again and spread the love.
Exactly.
All right. Oh, I have
Listen.
one last
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
quick future message from our future president.
Yes.
Be the stars that light up the night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And also, I mentioned it. I want to say it again to Chris Lavoie, who I love with all my heart.
Don't do this. Don't do this.
I just want people to know when Jody is not here, Chris has to do all of Jody's job and all of his job. And it has been a really long, stressful week, obviously, for all of us. But he does all the sound bites and the show prep and the guest bookings. And Lonnie was nice enough to come in to run cameras.
Yes. Thank you,
But
Lonnie.
Chris just did an amazing job on LA Sexy Liberal, so he is exhausted. He is taking Monday and Tuesday off, well deserved. But anyway, just want to
Thank you.
I just want to lift. Please try to lift everybody up that you love. We are all hurting and we're all raw. And you know, Glenn Kirschner is next.
The American experiment endures. We're going to be okay, but we need to stay engaged. We need to keep going. And above all, we need to keep the faith. I'm so proud to have worked with all of you. I really mean it. I sincerely mean it. God bless you all. God bless America. And may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah. All right, need this guy. Need him. Thank God, former U.S. Attorney Justice took a wrong turn on the wrong exit on the turnpike. Former 30-year federal prosecutor Glenn Kirschner.
It's the wrong exit on the way home from L.A. Sexy Liberal.
Who has answered the call for his country once again. He's in a cul-de-sac. Legal analyst Glenn Kirschner.
On the Steph Miller Show all day.
A cul-de-sac in Camarillo.
We got that Glenn Kirschner now, and I feel okay.
Hi, Glenn. Good morning. I've been thinking about you a lot.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, Glenn, gotta just, your first tweet, because I looked, I almost called you. I think we've all been like, do we give people time? But you're one of the people I wanted to talk to, obviously, at the top of the list. You just said a bitter pill. I'm struggling to find words this morning, my friend, so I'll defer to the wisdom and eloquence of Abraham Lincoln. First, adhere to your purpose, and you will soon feel as well as you ever did. On the contrary, if you falter and give up, you will lose the power of keeping any resolution and will regret it all your life. Second, one of my all-time favorite Lincoln quotes, be sure to put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. For now, find community and comfort in your loved ones, your friends, your neighbors. Support one another because the struggle for American democracy will continue. Thank you for that, Glenn. You're one of the lights that people look to. So give us just your reaction Tuesday night, your thoughts since then.
Yeah, well, first, I thought better of the American people.
Yeah.
I really did. I don't want to start pointing fingers either at politicians or campaigns or my fellow American voters who, made the choice in favor of hate and division and misogyny and xenophobia and prejudice. And I guess I just did point the finger, and that really was not my intent. But because a couple of things I want to say, anything you say that's positive feels like it's Pollyanna right now.
Yeah.
But you have to keep saying it. And so the darkness is descending on America. There's no two ways about it, because we're going to have an administration filled with Donald Trump's criminal associates and sycophants and oligarchs and lapdogs who are only going to be interested in enriching themselves and who will probably do more harm to Donald Trump's base and his voters than they do to many others. But the darkness is descending on America. So what do? We pull on our effing night goggles and we keep fighting like hell, because the light will come again. The light will come again.
Yeah.
And, people have been yelling at me in all caps ever since the election results came out that, you see, Glenn, justice doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I say, your anger at the injustice you're seeing proves that justice matters. It proves the very point, right? It does matter. That's why we're so damn angry at what has happened. But you know what? We keep fighting. We don't crawl into a hole and die. We keep fighting because the light will come again.
And it occurs to me, Glenn, that, you're a legal, analyst. You're a legal expert, a former prosecutor. We're not in any kind of normal world anymore. We are not. We are not in a nation of. We're not in a nation of laws. We're in a nation of not just men, one man. We're in some extra legal place that I know you don't recognize. I wanted to get your take. I don't know if you saw Max Burns' piece, America Will Regret Its Decision to re-elect Donald Trump, but he just writes, our democratic institutions are not ready for what comes next. Neither are the American people. A man with 34 felony convictions can't win the presidency in a nation where trust in institutions is high. It's only in a culture where the justice system has long since lost its legitimacy that a man with such a thick criminal record as Trump glides by relatively unremarked. That one man can so effortlessly game America's institutions to his own benefit says as much about the decrepit state of America's institutions as it does about the moral decrepitude of the crook. The 9 years of the Trump era have taken a bat to our democracy, and Trump's MAGA movement has exploited the nation's systemic weakness at every turn. Political misinformation flooded social media networks owned by Trump's key allies or by Trump personally. Meanwhile, Trump and compliant Republican lawmakers torched public trust in the courts, first by appointing an ethically vacant Supreme Court and later by urging his followers to hate and distrust not only the judges who tried him, but the entire rigged justice system. I mean, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
It does. And it all funnels up to the rot at the top, the rot at the top being the Supreme Court. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing an autopsy on how the Department of Justice let us down, dropped the ball, because Donald Trump could have been successfully prosecuted years ago, but he wasn't. And that was really due to DOJ's delay and inaction. They were finally prodded into action by Congress, by the J6 Select Committee. And it's the rot at the top that really is, I think, the main problem right now, because I'm going to be talking about how the 14th Amendment, the text of the 14th Amendment, says that Donald Trump may not be sworn in as president unless 2/3 of both houses vote to remove his disqualification. That's what the text of the 14th Amendment, Section 3, says. If you took an oath to support and defend the Constitution and thereafter you engaged in insurrection or gave aid and comfort to insurrectionists, which Donald Trump does every day, you are disqualified. And the only way you can be sworn in is if 2/3 of Congress votes to remove the disqualification. I have to believe Jamie Raskin and company are hunkering down and preparing to take that position come certification time, because it's the very text of the Constitution, Steph. So I talk about how the rule of law is supposed to apply, but we all know it has not been applied to Donald Trump as intended.
No,
but that doesn't mean we can stop talking about how it's supposed to work, because then we're normalizing the abuses of Donald Trump.
This lawlessness. I mean, someone said, how long before, Comer, who knows, argues that, the 22nd Amendment shouldn't apply and Trump can run again in 2028 and the Supreme Court agrees. I mean, who knows where we are now? Because
then we become Russia and we're all standing in line for toilet paper.
Yeah. Well, we already did that, remember? So here's our first headline up that we knew was coming. Justice in Trump's New York criminal case considering tossing his felony convictions, because here we are. Trump, as we know, was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. He was set to be sentenced November 26. Whether that hearing is going to happen now being decided by Judge Merchan. He will give himself until next week to decide if tossing those convictions is appropriate. Trump's lawyers are going to argue to the judge the sentencing should never happen, because now that Trump is president-elect, they will say he's entitled to the same constitutional protections as a sitting president and should be protected from state actors, and in this case, state prosecutors and judges overseeing the case. Trump's 2 federal cases are also expected to be dropped while Jack Smith winds them down. As far as for Trump's RICO case in Georgia, there is no clear answer as to whether a state-level prosecutor, Fani Willis, can prosecute a sitting president. Trump's victory now forces Willis to confront that constitutional question in addition to the existing legal issues that have already cast uncertainty over the Georgia case's future. So let's start with New York. Take us through it.
Yeah. At the moment, the criminals have won. There's no sugarcoating it. But here is what I've been saying since long before the election about how New York is going to play out. On November 12th, Judge Merchan is going to rule on whether he has to throw out all of Donald Trump's convictions because of this harebrained presidential immunity ruling the Supreme Court handed down. I predict it's going to be an easy call. Judge Merchan is going to say, no, of course not. Most of this conduct that Donald Trump committed, these crimes, have nothing to do with the presidency, and many were committed before he was sworn in. So no. But at that moment, I've been saying all along, because immunity is immediately appealable, Judge Merchan won't proceed to sentencing a week or 2 weeks later, because Donald Trump will rightfully, I hate to use that word, be able to appeal the immunity ruling. And then we're in this constant, waiting game as this thing makes its way up through the appeals court. So that's what I see happening in New York. I don't think the convictions will be tossed out. I think everything will be put on hold. Now, let me finish up with the state stuff before I go to the federal stuff. because the prevailing wisdom is that when a state tries to prosecute a sitting president, state court prosecutions are paused. They're put on hold while he's in office, and then they resume when he leaves office. So the cases shouldn't be thrown away or tossed out. They're just put on hold for, who knows how long while Donald Trump is in office. So they will continue, but they will be paused. The federal cases, I was really disappointed to hear that Jack Smith is winding them down. But let's talk about what he's gearing up to do, because I think he's also gearing up to do two things. He's winding them down because, again, we have this horrific opinion from the Department of Justice Office Legal Counsel that says, we don't think it's a good idea to be able to prosecute a sitting criminal president. We think he should be given leeway to commit all the crimes against the American people he wants while in office, and he can't be prosecuted. That's a stupid memo, and I wish we would revisit it. But Jack Smith said, listen, if I'm bound by that policy of the Department of Justice, then I have to wind these cases down because I can't prosecute Trump while he's in office anyway. What he could do is ask Judge Chutkan to just suspend the cases rather than dismiss them. I don't know that he will. Here's the two things he's gearing up to do, I believe. One, special counsel issues a report at the conclusion of his investigation, just like Bob Mueller did, exposing Trump-Russia coordination and exposing all of the obstruction of justice crimes Donald Trump committed. That's in volume 2 of the Trump-Russia report, for which Donald Trump has never been prosecuted. Jack Smith, I believe, is probably putting that report together, and it will be disclosed. And fortunately, then we will see and be able to preserve all of the evidence of Donald Trump's crimes. He won't be prosecuted anytime soon, but I suspect we're going to see that. And here's the other thing I believe he's doing. Remember those 6 unindicted co-conspirators that were in the Trump indictment?
Yeah.
I think we may very well see federal indictments of those 6 in the coming weeks.
Oh.
Why? 2 reasons. One, if you don't indict them now, well, then we're going to lose the statute of limitations. Time is going to run out while Donald Trump is in office. So I think he has to indict them, if only to document the crimes they committed to try to help Donald Trump steal the 2020 election. And one more thing, Steph, I'm sorry I'm running off. But if you indict Donald Trump's co-conspirators, you're forcing Donald Trump's hand to either have his corrupt attorney general tank those cases or to issue corrupt pardons. We need to force Donald Trump's hand to make those corrupt decisions and take those unlawful actions, because it will all help down the road. So let's not self-censor and decline to indict the co-conspirators just because Donald Trump will act corruptly to get rid of those cases.
So one headline, protecting democracy from Trump now in the hands of congressional GOP Supreme Court. Your panel mate Saturday night in L.A. was Adam Schiff, who he has pledged to prosecute, and people like him, Liz Cheney, whoever he decides. Yeah. What happens when you have Attorney General Aileen Cannon, I don't know, Jeff Clark, whoever? I mean, what happens when he tries to prosecute people that have committed no crimes?
Yeah, the latest name I saw floated was petty criminal Matt Whitaker, who was Attorney General for a hot minute previously, right, before Bill Barr took over and was even worse. What happens is we still have the institutions of government, DOJ, the military, populated with largely honest, ethical people doing the work of the American people. And there will be resistance. I don't know if that resistance will hold, because they may be driven out, they may be fired, they may be, dragged out by the scruff of their neck by Trump's, soldiers. But this is going to be a daily battle, and we're going to have to fight it night and day against the coming darkness and corruption. And we will, because you know what? There's honor in the fight, Steph. Win, lose, or draw, regardless of the odds. There's honor in this daily fight, and that's why we're going to keep it up.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Tolstoy? Somebody was quoting, but it's just wrong doesn't suddenly become right. You know what I mean? Just because more people voted for it this time. Just to your point, so a Republican lawyer who Trump is reportedly considering for Attorney General, what's his name? Mike Davis.
Yeah.
On X, when Trump won, tweeted, "Unity, we have the votes, and they tried to kill Trump." He said, "Here's my current mode. I want to drag their dead political bodies through the streets, burn them, and throw them off the wall." He declared America isn't worthy of Trump and that Liz Cheney should lawyer up.
Yeah, well, let's see if that's the kind of guy that the Senate will confirm. See, listen, Donald Trump, I don't believe Donald Trump cares one whit if he converts our democracy into a dictatorship or if it remains a dictatorship. His calculation will be, how can I maximize my profit? If I can maximize my profit in a dictatorship, let's do it. If I can maximize my profit in a democracy, I'm happy to leave America as a democracy.
I hope he's
But I don't think all the Republican politicians necessarily are enamored of the idea of converting American democracy to a dictatorship. So listen, we're going to find resistance anywhere we can in all corners, including across the aisle. And I do believe Trump is going to overplay his hand because he's nothing but miscalculation.
Well, I hope he's lying about everything like he was last time. He didn't do any of the things he lied to us, that is millions of people, I think I was saying to Chris yesterday, what breaks my heart too, is we already fired him once. Millions of people knew then what a crappy job he did as president. It's just, I think it's so interesting. Let me finish this, Max Burns, and get your take on it. He just said the president, he now inherits a nation deeply weakened by his own toxic brand of politics. Our divided and exhausted nation will now need to fend off the constant extra-legal whims of a president who also thinks the Supreme Court is functionally immune from prosecution for any act he undertakes. If Trump's first term was any indication, we won't need to wait long for the next constitutional crisis. Believers in the rule of law are in for a rough 4 years because though Trump contradicted himself countless times during this marathon campaign, he never wavered in his distaste for the rule of law or his admiration for strongman autocrats. Members of the press can expect Trump to at least try to make good on his oft-repeated pledge to rewrite the nation's press freedom and libel laws. The rest of us will be along for a bumpy and chaotic ride. It matters that Trump won his office in a free and fair election. It matters that free people voluntarily chose to cloak Trump in the power he almost certainly will abuse in far-reaching and destructive ways. Our country made the choice to walk down the dark path of Trump's resentments and conspiracies. We will come to regret it. I think you're right about him overplaying his hand, but but you're right. It's tough to sugarcoat things this week, in terms of how bad it could be.
Let's finish up with this, Steph, because he will overplay his hand. And there's one thing that a dictator has no use for: co-equal branches of government. So Congress, look out, because you're going to have to start acting based on your own self-interest, not on giving Donald Trump whatever he wants. And federal bench, including the Supreme Court, watch out, because Donald Trump has no need for a Supreme Court, given that he is now the dictator he believes he, was destined to be. And go ahead.
Just real quick, we're running way long, but since you brought up Supreme Court, the other headline, Trump's win may expend conservative control of the Supreme Court for decades. Can we expand the court while Biden's still in office? How does that happen? It
happens by legislation unless President Biden decides to use core constitutional functions that the Supreme Court said Donald Trump got to use with impunity to commit crimes to try to steal the presidency. Does Joe Biden use any of those powers to try to preserve our democracy? I'm sure that they are strategizing about that right now.
All right. Glenn, thanks so much, honey.
Thanks,
Sorry,
Glenn.
we went long as usual.
Yes.
Love you so much. Hang in there.
Love you all. Hang in there.
You too.
Right. 52 minutes after the hour, this portion of the you're one of the first people I thought of yesterday. All our beloveds that are, our regulars on the show, Doc, I thought of you. And you wrote some beautiful stuff as well. So just talk to us about how you're feeling day 2.
Well, I literally was shocked. I totally was caught off guard, not expecting Donald J. Trump and the people that he's bringing into government to prevail on Tuesday night. So it was the unfolding of a kind of a slow-mo nightmare. And, at the moment when it looked like this was not going to go well, I started thinking about what the hell are we going to do about it, similar to what Rebecca was saying. And I think paralysis at a time like this is the wrong move. And I said we had a couple of grandchildren over, and although they weren't there as late as to really see what was happening, but, the next morning you wake up, and the thing that was amazing to me, Steph, is that it wasn't just the winning of the Electoral College vote. He dominated, actually, in the popular vote, which says something to us pretty profound about the state of Americans. It's like, oh, my gas prices were $3.55 a gallon yesterday, so I think I'll just end democracy. You know, I had people say to me, you know, we got all these migrant families in New York now. We have no place to put them. One of my son's soccer fields on Randall's Island has become a camp for migrants. So why don't we just end democracy?
Yeah.
And bring a misfit, deranged autocrat to become the president of the United States, to answer these grievances, which, by the way, as somebody actually talked to me about how they really were going to go Republican for the first time because of the migrant issue. And I said, may I remind you, there was a bipartisan freaking bill
that didn't
would
break
have
through.
solved a lot of.
Yeah,
And
the facts
Donald
on
Trump
our
said-
side didn't break through. That Donald
Oh, no.
Trump, I hate to
This is-
say it, this con man is, I guess, good at politics because he used it exactly the way he wanted to. He killed the bill, made the problem worse when only I can fix it, and millions of people bought that.
Karen said he's got some kind of evil genius about him because he tapped into the things that would allow people, to give people permission to vote for him, in spite of his absence of humanity, his absence of character, his absence of honesty. And look, we paid a price here, and I think we will get through it. What bothers me, as I tweeted about yesterday, is that he brings with him a whole new government. It's not just Donald Trump, the guy going to go sit in the Oval Office, because sitting next door to him is J.D. Vance. And all throughout this, the West Wing and the Eisenhower office building next door to it, we have people who are basically crazy.
Yeah, you summed it up. The robotic anti-Ukraine perpetrator of lies about pet-eating immigrants, next president in waiting, J.D. Vance. The architect of the family separation and children in cages policy, Stephen Miller. The soon-to-be released from jail, violent insurrectionist Proud Boys leadership. The former Trump national security advisor who lied to the FBI about illegal interactions with Russians, Michael Flynn. And the anti-science, anti-vax conspiracist, Bobby Kennedy Jr. You said, rest assured, many of us are ready to fight the dark side with every moral, logical, political, and legal tool we have at our disposal. It is a rogues gallery of I don't know what, just the ones you mentioned, Doc.
Oh, no, I just was giving a few examples. If we could go on, and then it's going to be a bunch of people that get fired, major federal agencies that'll be defanged or eliminated. Look, we're going to have challenges. And the question, like people are saying, and like Rebecca summed it up in that email to you, is, okay, this is a hand that we were dealt, and nobody that's listening to your show, nobody wanted this outcome, but this is what we got.
This portion of the show brought to you by Dr. Did you see Bonnie and Clyde came in?
Stephanie Miller.
You say what you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave. What you want to say and let the words fall out. Honestly, I want to see you be brave.
It doesn't feel good to lose. It sucks. I hate it. I hate what this winner says about our country and the people who make it so great. But we have work to do. We've dealt with this guy before. He's a one-term president coming in. He's in serious cognitive decline. We're not helpless. We are privileged to be among those who can do something.
Thank you, Alpha Liberal, Eric Swalwell. We've still got a lot of great warriors in the fight. Thank you to everybody who sent love and support on the Twitters and the threads. Chloe said having a day to grieve about what happened in this election. I'll be turning off the news. But Stephanie Miller will always... I'm not going to quit. I've got no place else to go. Okay.
I ain't gonna quit! I got nowhere else to go!
Including Twitter. Timothy tweets, all of you Harris supporters who are wondering why you lost so many followers, many of those were Russian trolls and bots. They are now off pretending to be MAGA to induce Trump supporters to hate Ukraine. I'm not ceding any ground. They can suck my... Okay.
Oh goodness.
All right, I'm going to get to some calls. I just thank you for all your thoughts. I'm trying to, a lot of people are, say they're too nervous to call, but I just want to give everybody that I can a platform. There's a lot of great, smart people out there that have great ideas and thoughts about, or just want to lift us up. Yeah. David in D.C., who has been professionally black since 1965.
I've heard.
Steph, thank you for always being there. I remain with you in the fight today, tomorrow, and always. Thank you,
usually
David.
Start, hey, Jiggles.
Yeah, he must have been off his game this week.
I guess so.
And then this would be, I guess, not a love letter from Jill. Hi, Steph, I'm sorry, but I don't think your job matters anymore. Thanks, Jill. I say to every who didn't vote, it's too late now. You don't have to worry about voting anymore. This is bad. It's real bad. America's going to get what she deserves. I'll be going to Mexico January 20th. I don't know if I'll come back. All right, Jill, bye. Thanks for telling me that I don't matter. I still think you matter, and I hope you do stay in this fight with us. But
I've been to Puerto Vallarta twice. It's lovely down there. I could live there.
Everyone matters in this moment, and this show matters to a lot of people, not because of me, because it is a community. Thank you, Matt. Marty in Chicago. Hi, all. I cannot express strongly enough what your show and all of you mean to us out here, especially today. I spent 12 years supporting high school kids as a GSA sponsor and supporter, so I know what's happening. I share the fear and dread of the future for all of us, the country, the planet. This means we need you more than ever. I hope you'll find the strength to keep going. Again, Marty, I
ain't gonna quit. I got nowhere else to go.
Yeah. Also, I love this country too much. And I am one of the luckiest human beings in the world. I get to do what I'm passionate about. I get to do it with people that I love, like Chris and Jody. Yeah, on the fence sometimes, but mostly.
And also, you're really not good at anything else.
No. I also can't do anything else. So please help, Mommy.
I mean, you've been in a couple of movies, so you can maybe act.
Oh, yeah. No, if you've seen the movies, you know that I actually can't. Okay. Seth and I mostly play myself.
Well, yeah.
Seth, Homo of Hope. Hello.
Uh-oh.
Seth. Did I do it bad?
No, I don't think so.
I'm gonna do this thing where I started over again.
Well,
okay.
Then
Stupid phone system. That's one thing you can always rely on, is the phone system will always suck. No matter what happens to America.
Having a liberal infrastructure would help with the...
Thank you. Glenn was telling us his podcast partner, Brian Tyler Cohen, and I know Thom Hartmann was talking about it. Man, I hope liberals, Democrats, progressives, I hope they get it. Please invest in and support in progressive infrastructure. We are fighting a solid wall of disinformation, which I would say is the number one. Yeah. The number one problem, Chris. It really is. And we are just a little tiny universe compared to their,
Republicans know that they need to speak to their base over and over and over again. So they go on those shows over and over and over again.
Yeah.
In the entire history of the Stephanie Miller Show, we have had one presidential candidate on ever.
Oh, yeah, John Kerry.
John Kerry.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. No, I mean, it just, I don't know how else, Chris, you counter, as I was saying, a solid wall of lies, except with a solid wall of facts. I mean, we just, I don't know how else to, and I get it. that for people that weren't feeling like things were better. But you're right in some ways, Chris. They run the same play every time. If things aren't, if you're angry about your life or things you think things cost too much, it's the brown people. Well, it isn't the brown people. It's the corporate price gouging that's causing prices. It's not the brown people. It's not the gay people that are the problem with your marriage. It's just they always find scapegoats. It's not trans people. They're not doing trans surgery on your kid without your permission at school or spending taxpayer money. Okay, I can't. Again, we can say it all day long, but first, you do start with the mainstream media. They are not liberal, Chris. They first of all, both sides did it the economy, so that didn't help, even though the numbers are historically good. So none of the facts mattered about the economy. That Trump had the worst economy in the world, and Biden brought it back to the best, the envy of the world. It's okay. Anyway, it's just obviously Kamala Harris was talking about prices and actual policies to help with prices. It just didn't get out there. Millions of people bought Trump's lies about it. I can't even remember all the lies he told about the economy and prices, and everything he said was a lie. Okay, Catherine tweets, love the people close to you, donate to the causes you care about, smell the flowers, know that as dark as it seems today, no darkness is forever. I am 69. I feel you. The first time the U.S. tried a multiracial democracy was Reconstruction. It was a heady time. We have had ups and downs before in this democracy. Mark, I want to say how much we appreciate the beautiful, talented, smart, and caring Stephanie Miller. Oh, she pours her heart and soul into every show every morning. We don't deserve her, but we're fortunate to have her. Need you now more than ever. Thank you, Mark.
I'm surprised you didn't stop at beautiful.
Oh, no, I was going to read the whole thing. I need it. Need it. Dream Big tweets, thank you so much for your joy, your unabashed optimism, for connecting us, for staying working every day for us. Thank you. Thank you. I wouldn't be here. I'm here because of you. Let's go to Anita in San Antonio. Hey, Anita.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I guess it's not really good morning.
No, it is not. Let's find a different salutation.
Hello. How about that?
Yes. Crappy morning.
Yes.
Yeah, I just have to say, I know, people were saying that they feel like we're talking down to them, but that is their problem. If they support an adjudicated rapist, a convicted felon, and a racist, and all the other things that Donald Trump is.
Yeah.
And they don't like being called out for that.
Yeah.
So they say, we're talking down to them.
Well, Chris said that yesterday. Democrats need to stop talking down to people. I just specifically think Kamala Harris was the candidate, and I don't think she was talking down to people.
I think when people are having real economic issues in their family, which a lot of people are having, for them to be told, it's not the economy. It's something else. That's not cool.
Look, people are always having economic problems. You know what Republicans do? They just ignore those people.
They tell you who to blame. Tell you who to blame.
Yeah,
that it's the brown people. They're taking your black jobs. They're taking your Latino jobs.
Democrats will always say they never like to brag about the economy because they say people are still suffering. And the media didn't tell the story of Joe. The reason why we had inflation was because it was a global phenomenon as a result of coming out of COVID.
Yeah.
So, I was watching the BBC, and that's how they talked about inflation.
Yeah,
they
by
said
the
it was
way,
a result of COVID.
By the way, Anita, let me just quote Barack Obama, because I think that was interesting. He said, as I said on the campaign trail, America has been through a lot over the last few years, from a historic pandemic and price hikes resulting from the pandemic to rapid change, and the feeling a lot of folks had that no matter how hard they work, treading water is the best they can do. Those conditions have created headwinds for Democratic incumbents around the world, and last night showed that America is not immune. The good news is these problems are solvable, but only if we listen to each other, if we abide by the core constitutional principles and democratic norms that made this country great. In a country as big and diverse as ours, we won't see eye to eye on everything, but progress requires us to extend good faith and grace even to people with whom we disagree. They could start by not being so hateful, racist, and gloating.
The same thing happened after the Great Depression. There was a fascism spreading around the world. We happened to pick FDR, and we got out of the Great Depression, and we became a stronger democracy, and fought against tyranny and fought against fascism. Germany and parts of Europe,
Let me
They
ask
did
you a
the
question. Let me
opposite.
ask you and Chris a question. Have you experienced personally anyone on their side extending good faith and grace to
No.
Kamala Harris supporters? I haven't. I've experienced
they're bullying.
hatred and
I-
bullying.
I'm afraid.
I have.
Yeah.
I
I'm afraid
have
to
a friend.
go on
I have a
social
friend who's a
media.
Trump supporter in North Carolina, and you know, the day after the election, I just said to him, "Congratulations," and he said, "Thanks. I hope we can all get along now."
Yes. Now,
Yeah,
now they hope that they won. They hope.
He's never said a
Yeah.
trolly thing to me at all.
Can I say another thing? He's a hot gay guy, and so are you. So he loves you because you're a hot gay.
But when Biden won,
Scapegoating again.
they just denied it. They denied that he had won. Nobody's
Yeah.
doing that over here. We're not saying it was rigged.
Yeah. Oh no,
We're not doing
they
any of those
stormed the
things. We're not
Capitol
gonna
and literally,
storm the Capitol
on
Yeah.
the Capitol when they lost, and now they're calling us sore losers.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I know they have never been gracious winners.
yeah.
So I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Well,
what,
I mean, Chris had an experience. I'm just saying everything online on my phone lines.
You asked me if
on
I
my
had an
email.
experience, and I told you.
Yeah.
You
All
know,
I've experienced is gloating
They're
and
never gonna
bulliness,
try to
bullying,
reset
and just hatred, and it's. So I think that's what's tough, Anita, is that okay, you won based on a whole bunch of lies about everything,
Right.
And it's. I don't know what
We're just going to have to build. We're going to have to build an infrastructure, an infrastructure, so that we can get our messages out.
Yeah.
We cannot. We're always on the defensive
Yeah.
because they have a 24-hour, propaganda machine, Fox News and Newsmax,
Yeah,
and all these other
all of our listeners in red
conservative
areas say it is
media
on
outlets.
everywhere. Fox News is on everywhere. That's all people see in every
it's
public
in
place.
the hospitals and the airports.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the
all right.
bases, on the military bases.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Steve Bannon warned the federal government it will pay the price for trying to destroy this country. As soon as Trump takes offices, entire agencies will be swept out. He said federal agencies and news networks like MSNBC have broken people's lives. He also repeated the accusation that the 2020 election was stolen from Trump. He said Biden's getting swept out, Kamala Harris is getting swept out, MSNBC is getting swept, the Justice Department getting swept out, FBI is getting swept out. You people suck, okay? And now you're going to pay the price for trying to destroy this country. Well, that's a lot of grace, isn't it? A lot of grace and goodwill.
That goes along with the same thing. That tweet you read to Glenn last hour.
Yeah, you deserve what we call rough justice, and we're
Right,
prepared to
exactly.
give it to you.
That's the sort of thing that's going to force the pendulum to swing back to the center and to the left because they always overstep their bounds when they win.
Yeah.
They always do.
I appreciate your friend's sentiment that I hope we can unite, but how do we reunite
meant
with
it.
people
He
that
meant-
are
he meant it.
texting black people?
He meant it.
Here's where you show up to pick cotton.
He is not those people.
Oh no, I know. I'm not saying
And so,
that.
there are good people of goodwill that did vote for Trump, and you asked me, I told you,
Yeah.
and you're dismissing it.
I'm not dismissing it. I just there is. Not only was this campaign the meanest, most sexist, racist, misogynistic campaign I've ever seen, the people that support him that I've experienced tend to be that way. I mean, speaking while I'm on the subject of Steve Bannon, Bannon floats Marjorie Taylor Greene as the head of, I believe it's Homeland Security.
No. I'm not sure Steve Bannon has Trump's ear as much as he used to.
Yeah. Good God. She said America is not going to tolerate the communist regime destroying our freedoms, trying to turn our kids trans. Oh, God. This is the problem, is, their hyperbole obviously worked to fearmonger enough of their people that nobody's trying to turn your kids trans. What was the other? Kamala Harris is not a communist, but we were saying, it was not enough time for the American people, I think, to get to know her, except that, the scary communist black lady from San Francisco that Trump keeps telling us is a communist. I mean, it's, oh, God, all right. My rumbly tumbly is back.
Boy.
All right, we got a Fugle sang in. We got a Frangelican Friday. Thank God, 20 minutes after the hour.
The free press needs to give the people of this country assurances that they will not become state TV, that they will stand and fight together. They will put aside rivalries and petty professional differences. They will stand and fight together as the free press, as the fourth estate, as an institution that is a pillar of our democracy, as these guys on the other side inevitably start picking off individual journalists, individual publishers, individual news organizations to try ultimately to turn us all into some American accented version of RT. If the Democratic Party takes the House, expect Article 1 of the Constitution to come under attack. By which I mean expect efforts to hollow out the power of Congress, to make Congress a just-for-show institution, right? There's a reason actions of the Russian Duma never make news, right? Expect efforts to attack Article 1, to make it a just-for-show institution that has had its real powers taken over by the executive, by the dear leader. We are going to need a plan and some steel spine inserts among elected officials in Washington to head that off. We're going to need the whole country to recognize that risk in advance, to call it what it is when they try it, and to actively resist it. Depending on whether the courts can provide a check on this administration, expect Article 3 of the Constitution to come under attack as well. It is already a fetish and a laugh line on the right to brag about how court orders really mean nothing.
couple of minutes.
And he and his squirrel.
Yes, exactly. We all need something to distract ourselves at this particular point. Bob Schooley tweets, I'm still trying to cope with our looming reality best I can, but I just keep dwelling on a lifelong criminal and abuser managed to stay out of jail by promising to make life worse for migrants and trans kids who just want to live. Thank you. T-Pain's, fun fact, 73 million Americans agreed they would try the gas station sushi that gave them food poisoning 8 years ago. That's for you, because you always talk about gas station sushi.
I had supermarket sushi yesterday.
That's different than gas station.
Okay. I don't know. It was California salad. So I don't
Steve in Georgetown. Hey, Steve.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
I have 3 quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
Does a new job keep a convicted felon out of jail? By not impeaching and convicting an insurrectionist, does that mean Congressfolk are 14-3 eligible? Does trying to immunize a convicted and impeached federal employee from the law make SCOTUS justices 14-3 eligible?
Yeah, that's what Glenn Kirschner was talking about, the 14th Amendment. I mean, it's... You know, when we were talking about that, we all are like, expand the Supreme Court, but I think Glenn was explaining he could do it by executive order.
Yeah, but then
Trump can just undo it.
Yeah. Executive orders are like that.
Yeah.
You know, yes, they're a magic wand for a little bit until, the next guy comes in.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the anger and the emotion we all have. And by the way, it doesn't just lay at Merrick Garland's feet. It's you're right, Mitch McConnell. There's a million people that how we got here that know exactly what he is and that he should have been impeached and convicted twice, and so it's okay. But Glenn is right that, obviously, and Biden apparently is on record saying that Merrick Garland was a mistake. But however we got here, here we are. By the way, Trump's choice for Chief of Staff Susie Wiles was one of the key persons interviewed in connection with the special counsel's investigation of Trump's retention of classified documents. If you want to know what kind of enablers are. Okay. Chrissy writes, hey, Steph, because I'm too lazy to write an email, I figured this was the next closest. Thanks for all you and Chris and Jody and all your jingled and non-jingled mooks do from my daughter to you through me. And hey, she's beginning to see the light. Your show is more than fart jokes. Oh, but it's also a very key part.
Yeah.
Very key part. Okay. John Fugelsang, next.
entire Confederacy. Really well done, guys. They never count you out again, I promise. It's, look, this is how it's been at nighttime on Progress as well. People are realizing that we're a country of men who are too weak for a woman president.
Yeah.
He can be a rapist and a racist and a white supremacist who stole from veterans with a fraudulent online university, lies about innocent migrants. He can violate all 10 commandments, but at least he's not a woman. And that's where we are this week.
Yeah.
And I'm not giving up because I am in love with the more than half of America that resists this and will continue to resist this.
Yeah.
This doesn't remind me of 2016. This reminds me of 2004, Steffi. You remember 2004?
Yeah.
George W. Bush, this aristocrat, brat, illiterate, millionaire at birth, who lied to all of us. And Americans died because of his lies. And crappy white people decided, I don't care that he lied, I'll reelect him.
Yeah.
And he left office the most unpopular president in history until Bush. And there's no words for how horrible this is going to end for Donald Trump. There's no way this doesn't end like the last scene of Scarface for both him and the eyeliner model. That's how it goes. And if you're down, I have many thoughts today, but I'll just say one thing. If you guys are down and you think you're never going to smile again, just remember all the Ozempic he's been taking has led to so much weight loss and saggy skin that he can no longer wear a collared shirt with a tie without having a neck vagina. And I want that neck vagina to get you through the darkest of nights, folks, because you deserve to laugh at the darkest times.
It's a mangina. It is. So one of my favorite lines of yours that you tweeted is, America's an old couch and Trump is the black light.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the depressing part for a lot of us, John. It's not, because this election isn't about who he is. It's about who we are.
Amen. And we've always been this dirty. We've always found racism acceptable. We've always found treating women like crap acceptable. Show me all the things that the media demanded Kamala Harris do that they required of Donald Trump.
Thank you. Well, and you also said Trump's not the Antichrist, but Christ is the anti-Trump. I mean, this thing that you talk about so eloquently all the time, how the least Christ-like man in the world has become their Messiah. I mean, evangelical leaders celebrate Trump's victory as a prophecy fulfilled. I mean...
It's the triumph of Christianity over Christ, okay? Donald Trump is the Christianity what Jesus was to lying, racism, narcissism, disregard for the poor, supporting torture, making the rich richer, hating your enemies, defending white supremacists, taking health care away from poor people, stealing from people with fraud, celebrating greed and wealth, never asking forgiveness, lusting after your own daughter, evicting people from eminent domain law, G'ing women by the P? No, boo-boo. You can enjoy your victory all you want, but anyone who's actually read the New Testament is going to call out these corrosive, flock-fleecing Pharisee frauds. You don't get to call yourself Christian anymore. Those of us who read the Bible are going to call you out.
Yeah.
So do I.
John, okay, can you take your organ out for me? Thank you, Chris. I just... Even reading this made my head explode. After having repeatedly depicted the presidential election as a spiritual clash between good and evil... We'd be the evil in this part, and Trump in this scenario is the good. Leading figures in the movement to remake America as an explicitly Christian nation celebrated Trump's victory as a fulfillment of God's divine will. Lance, somebody who cares, a celebrity evangelist, said there's a different dialogue about spirituality happening in America. And with Donald Trump, God has given us permission to take it right to the White House. While evangelical support for Trump has not wavered since he pledged in early 2016 while running for GOP nomination, if you were elected, Christianity will have power. If I'm there, you're going to have plenty of power. You don't need anybody else, Trump said.
That's their religion, is power. Yep. That's all they care about. They reject the gospel. They don't give a rat's ass about the things Jesus actually talked about. They want power. I'm writing a whole book about this. And you ask, and the real failing here, Steffi, is the media. Because the media allows these frauds to pass themselves off as what Christianity is. The media will never ask any of these evangelicals, name one teaching of Jesus the MAGA movement fights for. Chapter and verse, please. One thing Christ actually commanded, like welcome the stranger, which he commands in Matthew 25, you immigrant-hating frauds, or stop executing people. Put away thy sword. He who lives by the sword will die by the sword, you NRA whores. How about individuals and nations must care for the sick and care for the poor? They don't like Jesus. They would call him woke.
John's in a mood this morning, and I am here for it.
You don't need to believe in the Bible to call out these hypocrites. And again, damn it, media, start asking these people, where does your New Testament say that Donald Trump is doing the right thing? Because I've been through mine many times. No. These people have to be called out for their fraudulence.
Let's look at data for a second. 80% of white evangelicals back Trump. He also won an estimated 67% of Latino evangelicals and 14% of black evangelicals. I mean, this whole...
So you're saying 86% of black evangelicals are against Donald Trump?
Yes,
Don't tell the media that. Don't tell the media that. Yeah.
Well, John, we've been talking about, the data analyst yesterday was saying that the major predictor in every election ever, I guess, is the president's approval rating. And Biden is at 40%. And I do think the media had a lot to do with that. Both sides did it to, so that was part of the perception that the economy was bad when every indicator was so much better. But
best economy in the world. Best economy in the world. Best recovery from COVID-19 worldwide inflation. We're doing better than all of our capitalist allies. But tens of millions of Americans believed that the country was heading in the wrong direction and the economy was doing poorly and that crime was going up. And none of that is true. And the media made sure no one was disabused of the notion.
Yeah. And we were talking about their infrastructure. This is Winnie said, SM, the last 4 years I was in rural North Carolina for a month 4 times a year. I believe the number one reason Trump won is Fox News. It's on TVs every place you go.
Everywhere.
Family and friends have it playing all day on TV. Over meals, it's Did You Hear What Hannity said? And then you add in all the right-wing radio stations and podcasts. And, John, I guess what I keep saying bothers me the most, if we had lost on actual issues, but we lost on lies. On fear-mongering and scapegoating, and if you can't afford stuff, it's because of the brown people, and it's because they're giving all your FEMA money to illegals, and they're giving and they're spending
lies.
It on transgender surgeries.
Racist lies that are acceptable to evangelicals, like the racist lie that the first black president wasn't really one of us, like the racist lie that innocent Haitian migrants are illegals who are eating pets. These lies are acceptable, like the sexual abuse is acceptable, like stealing from American citizens via fraud is acceptable. And this was all made possible because 2 generations of American Christians have been groomed to believe that Christianity means criminalizing abortion and persecuting LGBTQ people. And the actual teachings of Jesus, which don't cover being mean to gay people or abortion, are thrown out. Again, this is how they used religion, and the aristocrat class always does this. And I want to remind everybody, nothing's really changed. The only consistent political narrative of my lifetime, right, since I was a kid, last 50 years, is Republicans get greedy and messy, and they're going to burn it all down. This country's like a mob restaurant. They burn down for the insurance money, and then we know they're going to bring a Democrat in to clean up their mess. Watergate and Nixon gave us the most moral president of our lifetime, Jimmy Carter, who's looking better and better every year, by the way. More jobs created per year than Reagan and Bush combined. And then 12 years of trickle-down gave us Bill Clinton, who balanced the budget and left us a surplus. 8 years of Bush Jr., the aristocrat warmongering puppet, gave us Barack Obama, who reduced the deficit and brought the lowest number of uninsured in history. And then 4 years of Caligula gave us Joe Biden, the most legislatively successful president of my lifetime, who saved the Teamsters' pensions, walked a picket line, revived American manufacturing, passed historic infrastructure bill, loaded it up with so much Buy America crap and the Inflation Reduction Act. And you know what's going to happen next? In 4 years, they're going to bring in a Democrat to clean up the mess these aristocrats are going to make.
And I think that's
the most progressive field we've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think that's the starting point, is why, and again, you just discussed it about the media, about we could not get our arms around why would Biden's approval rating only be 40% when he has provably done all this stuff. But you're right, we have so many factors now, including media, mainstream media, that is far from liberal, that I think overcorrects the other way. But we were saying that's why a lot of these discussions are useless now. Like, I don't think Biden would have done any better. I think it would have been the ageism that the media had, if it wasn't the racism and misogyny that Kamala Harris also obviously faced. It's
absolutely.
It's that when we keep, the media really reflected Trump saying this is a garbage country and a hellscape and all this stuff, and you see how Trump's acceptance or whatever speech that was before he even one, but he's like, America's the greatest country in the world. I mean, really? Yesterday, it was a garbage pail. But, now it's great because they voted for you. I mean, it is a full-on cult, John. I don't know what to say.
Yeah,
I keep saying to Chris, if we had lost on real issues and not lies, you know what I mean? Like, it would.
Look,
I think
we lost because we lost because 15 million fewer people showed up to vote, and during a pandemic, everybody was glued to the TV all day long. Everybody got their mail ballots. Turnout was incredibly high. We know historically when there's low turnout, Republicans win. When there's high turnout, Democrats win. That's what got us this time. It's not going to make the next 4 years go well. These policies, the tariff war, it's not going to go well. Prices are not going to get lower. Women are not going to stop dying in hospital parking lots.
You know, we're not conspiracy theorists on the show. I do understand why some of that is out there, though, because the registration numbers were way high. The enthusiasm numbers were 10 points higher for Kamala Harris. So I understand people going, where did those millions of votes go? That's why I think we were all in such shock and numbness. Right.
Absolutely. But hey, you know what? At least Merrick Garland took down Hunter Biden. That's all I'm thankful for. He'll tell, well, St. Peter, what did you do, Merrick Garland? I took down Hunter Biden for my country. Well, okay, Merrick Garland, you might be on the wrong floor. Look, there's going to be so much finger pointing among the left, and everyone's going to tear each other to ribbons for the next few months, and it's going to be dreary, and our friends are going to be screaming at our friends, and you're allowed to be wounded. You're allowed to be hurt. You are not allowed, Stephanie Miller audience, to despair, because despondency is privilege. There is too much at stake for y'all to check out. So take a few months, lick your wounds, come to terms with how awful so many white people are in this country. But I promise you, by Valentine's Day, Donald Trump's criminality and stupidity and incompetence are going to bring everybody back on the same side because there are more of us.
Yep. We love you, John Fugel, saying, need you more than ever now, honey. And we will.
I love you. And listen, we're doing a therapy session on Progress every night as well.
Yep.
Look, Gotham got tired of woke Batman and figured Joker setting the city on fire might shake things up. These are stupid people. America might never be the same again, but we're gonna get through it.
Thank you, sir. There he goes. Sir John Fugelsang, star of Stage Screen and Sirius XM Progress. We love you. Goodbye. All right. RFK Jr.
Well, I think it is your fault, actually.
You know, I was thinking it is my fault. I
Uh-huh.
opened champagne earlier in the day. That's how, that's how confident I was. I think it was my fault. I apologize, America.
You should have gone falconing with RFK Jr.
Yeah. Sorry. My bad.
Instead, you played Bananagram.
With Ethel
with
Kennedy.
his mom.
Yeah, with the good Kennedy. Okay. Kat tweets, if the Democrats don't start today building a left-wing media propaganda infrastructure in America to combat the right-wing Russian propaganda infrastructure, you're witnessing the end of not only the American democracy, but the end of the Democratic Party. Thank you. Now you're speaking our language.
Well, okay, it's not going to happen overnight, though, because the Republicans have done this for 30 years now, and it's finally coming to fruition.
Now more than ever, please support our friends, not just me, our friends like John Fugelsang and Thom Hartmann and Randy Rhodes and
Buy our stuff.
Dean Obadala. Yes. Buy our stuff. Thank you. Janine said, good morning, Steph. I heard you this morning. It pulled me out of the storm I feel I'm drowning in. I'm so sorry you had to worry about your show. I'm not going anywhere, and I will raise my Patreon amount. That's the spirit.
And plus, you get the crazy, filthy Patreon show.
Yes, yes. And No Spiders has been listening to your show since the Not Air America days. I stick with your cause because I've got no place else to go. Also, fart jokes. Amazing how many times people mention fart jokes. You're welcome. Those will never, ever go away. Seth, a homo of hope. Hello, Seth. Seth, hello.
Did you hang up on the wrong Seth?
No, I did not. I did not. Michelangelo in Denver. Hi, Mike.
Good morning. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Let's just say morning. Hey, listen, I was just calling up here, Mama and the crew there, Chris, Jody, everybody, Krista and everybody else. Thank you. Thank you for all that you've done here, in this time.
Thank you, sweetie.
It really got our spirits up. I just want to say before, I get off here and everything, that, hey, I'm going to be doing all my vacations in California and New York. They're my home ground. I got people there.
Yep.
Nothing. I will not spend another dime in any of these flyover states, and down south we have people all over.
Listen, you know where you got people? You got people here at the Stephanie Miller Show. Family. Family. We are family. You have a home here.
Family.
As we always say.
Yes, family.
Mehdi Hassan tweeted, how long do we give it till our president-elect takes credit for strong economic growth, rising real wages, falling inflation, and record low levels of unemployment? Oh, I'm going to say, has he done it already? Said it's all happening just because we voted for it.
He was strangely silent yesterday. God. I think he sent out one thing on social media, and that was it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. You know what? I feel Frangela may have some thoughts and some feelings, and we will need to retain our FCC license, so we may need to remind them of that. Okay, the desperately needed Frangela next. Incredibly, Dr. David Silverman to talk about ASEA Renew that I am holding in my hand. Hi, Doc.
Hey, how are you, Steph? Nice to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. This stuff is amazing. Revitalizing Redox gel. You hold up. You have you can either, it comes in drink form, and this is the gel form. Tell us about this. I love, first of all, that supermodel Carol Alt will be promoting this. She's taken so many jobs from me, so I am so happy.
I just talked to her. She's in Italy right now. She's amazed because of what it did for her cat. That was her first experience. Then she saw what it did for her. But just to give some context, because I have to tell you that this is very unique. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's not a nutritional product. It's something that our cells make. It's called redox signaling molecules. Our cells make it in our mitochondria. I'm not going to get too scientific. I'm on the medical board of the company, and my background is foot surgery. I was board certified foot surgery on my own practice and surgery center. I was a traditionally trained doctor, so I'll try to keep it not scientific. But bottom line is, our cells make redox signaling molecules. Your body makes it right now, but we all made more of it when we were younger in our mitochondria. So, and I can give references on the science in this, but What's in this bottle is in you. It's in me, right? But I'll be 64 in 2 weeks, and I feel like I'm 30 years old. I've been drinking this for 13 years.
Wow.
When I was a child, I was making this much of this. And when we go through puberty, our mitochondria decline, we start producing less. So in my 20s, I produce this much. 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, almost 64, I'm producing this much. Next year, I'll produce this much. Next year, I'll produce this much. When I'm 90, I'll produce this much. And you see what happens to people on the outside, to their skin cells, to their pancreas cells, their joint cells. So I drink this and I raise my levels up to what they were when I was younger, and we can talk about what they do. But bottom line is it's a biohack. And there's several books explaining what this is, but it is a massive, massive breakthrough. And honestly, it was brought to me 13 years ago. My dad was really ill. He was told he had something in his body that no one wants to hear they have in any part of their body, whether it's their prostate or their breast or their lung. And so I took investigating it very seriously when my friend brought it to me, not really believing that it was real, but feeling I can't not investigate it. What if it really is real?
Yeah.
And I could do something to help my father, and just thank God that I did. So I'm glad that you're asking me questions about this breakthrough. People
Let me
need
tell
to
you,
know.
I lie about my age quite frequently, but because I look 20 years younger, but you can't, your cells don't lie, right? I love cell signaling supplement because it literally signals your cells. Talk a little bit about that, what this gel does.
Okay. Well, and again, they make the gel from the drink. So the company started in 2009. By the way, they turned down an offer from a pharmaceutical company who wanted to buy it, and they probably would have buried it, because this is a very different approach than pharmaceuticals. I mean, we need pharmaceuticals. Thank God we have pharmaceutical companies, right? But this is as different from a pharmaceutical as the invention of the light bulb was to compared to the lantern. You know, there are dangers with a lantern. You can light a room, but if the lantern falls over the candle, you can burn your house down. A lamp falls over. Both provide light, but one's a lot safer than the other. There's no toxicity to this.
Yeah.
It's made, your body makes it from saline, literally from saline. It's patented intellectual property. It's not saline anymore, but your body makes it from saline. And so what it does is it amplifies signaling. It doesn't heal you or cure you. But let's say you have a cut, a wound. Okay, your cells in your arm are normal, and then you have a wound. Something happens. You break a bone, you cut your soft tissue. The cells that were normal now are not. They're not. How does that heal? How does your body heal that? Right? Two things heal that wound. One is your immune system has to go in and get rid of the bad cells and clean it up, and then stem cells are stimulated to make those cells. But it all depends on signals. The immune system has to get a signal that you have bad cells there.
Well, that's
so
why
good cells.
That's why you heal faster when you're younger, right? So this is what you're talking about. Yeah,
because the signaling is loud. So when the good cells are calling the immune system for help, and they're saying help, help, when you have a lot of redox molecules as a kid, the signal is loud. And so the immune system cells come down, kill the cell, get rid of it. Stem cells are stimulated. New cell takes its place. But Stephanie, it's not just wounds. Our cells have lifespans. We live 70, 80 years, maybe 100 years, but our cells don't. Bone cells live maybe 10 years, but lining of the gut cells live a couple of days, your retina cells. And when they start to die, signals are sent to the immune system, help, help. The immune system comes down and kills the bad cell. Good cell takes its place. And mutating cells. We all have cells that mutate. We don't all get cancer, but you see more diseases as you get older.
Yeah.
So this just amplifies the signal. So it doesn't heal you. It doesn't cure you. It amplifies the signaling so your body's healing systems can do what they did when we were younger.
Naturally. Well, and Doc, Chris and I have been talking to you. We're both health nuts. We eat right, we exercise, all that stuff. So you're speaking my language when, in this background stuff, you talk about doctors are unaware of natural alternative options. And you say our health is not the responsibility of our doctors, nor is it the responsibility of our government. It's our responsibility. And we take that seriously. So I have to say, I've always said I'm not really a drug person. So this stuff, like you say, it's in your body. It's natural, and it seems to me it's part of an overall health commitment.
Well, it's very foundational because it's below the level of nutrition. And by the way, the safety of it, you can't be allergic to it. It's in you. It doesn't interfere with medicines. It's in you already. And there's no toxicity. Every medicine is poison. Every pharmaceutical is poison. And people say that's not true. It is true. I wrote prescriptions every day. There's a dosage for prescriptions. If you have a headache and you take acetaminophen, which I don't take anymore, but you take 2 of them, if your headache's still there in 30 minutes, you're like, well, I'm going to take 20 of these. Why don't you do that? Because it's poisonous. It will kill you. Every medicine has a number called an LD50. It stands for lethal dose 50. And before a pharmaceutical company is granted the permission to test on humans, they have to tell the FDA, what was your LD50? Pfizer or whoever it is, whoever the drug company, what's the LD50? What it stands for is what dosage, when you tested that drug on rats, what dosage killed half the rats? LD50, lethal dose 50. Right. They couldn't find one on this because it's not a pharmaceutical. If you drink too much of it, your body turns the excess back into what it was, which was saline. And I shot a video at itwassaltwater.com because people say, oh, it's just salt water. They look online. I mean, their patents, intellectual property, the company's 15 years old. They've done over $1 billion in sales in 35 countries. It's common sense. It's not salt water, but itwassaltwater.com. I explain, you can see why it's made from saline, because our body's filled with saline. That's why when you get an IV at the hospital,
Right.
they don't give you water, they give you saline.
Right. So talk to us about how to use these products. So the ASEA Redox that you held up, how often do you drink it? Like as much as you would drink normal water, or?
No, it's not a drink. It's not a drinking water. In fact, you do want to drink a lot of water during the day when you start drinking this because you detox, right?
Right.
Because when you have all these cells that were bad and your body is saying, hey, we need to get rid of them, where are they going? And the toxins that are in them, we all have toxins in them.
I really hope you're watching so you can see the interpretive dance, because an interpretive dance of rage. Morning.
I don't know. I don't know why we can't get rid of this the FCC guideline. Like, I should be able to speak freely.
Yes.
We should have immunity.
Just this week.
Yes.
This week.
For those of us that had to hear over and over, it's only about cost of bacon. Officials in a number of states are responding to reports of racist texts sent by residents in the days after the election. They read, you have been selected to pick cotton at the nearest plantation. Be ready at 12 sharp with your belongings. Our executive slaves will come get you in a brown van. Be prepared to be searched down once you've entered the plantation. You are in plantation group W. Cell phone users in at least 9 cities reported receiving the texts.
Because that's what they voted for.
Yep. And that's what they knew. They knew that that's what they were voting for.
This is
and
a celebration.
It was a lie. Yep.
What they voted for was the ability to treat brown and black people and women with absolute impunity, to do whatever they wanted, to not have to hide their racism, to get to spit in our faces. And that's what people voted for. And I'm having a very hard time because I'm waking up every morning and getting a lot angrier about the fact that in these states that Trump won, abortion rights also somehow got protected.
Yeah.
What that says is that women went in those booths. White women and people went in those booths. They voted against me and for themselves.
Yeah.
They voted to protect their bodily autonomy.
I read your great tweet. You guys said, it's like watching America go back to the drunk, abusive husband. Except that she's taking you with her, like your mom's taking you with her back, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And and here we are forced to be to witness the abuse. We
don't get abused.
And we are going to get abused. You're absolutely right. But you know what? I'm going to tell you. I woke up the next day because, early on I knew it wasn't good. And, but I woke up the next day and my mindset wanted to be angry, wanted to be hurt. Oh, that came later. But what I realized was what I was joyful for is the fact that I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
I live in a bubble with great people. I live in a bubble that is forward thinking, that believes in the law, that, you know what I'm saying? And I just did not know. I really didn't know that the things that I value mean so little to other Americans.
You know, tonight Gavin Newsom is having a Zoom call
Yeah.
to discuss how this California can insulate itself
Yeah.
from the Trump agenda. And, you know, I'm grateful for that. And there was a time when I'm hoping to get back to a place where I feel like I could march for what I know is right. But it's very hard because this election was absolutely a repudiation.
Yeah.
It wasn't just, he didn't just win. He won decisively. And he won decisively, and they're going to get the House, it looks like, and the Senate. And they have the judiciary. So anybody, what the decision I think Francis and I both made, and I think a lot of other people are making, is I'm not going to sit here for the next 2 months and watch the media game out what may or may not happen. I'm not going to feel bad about it before it happens, right? The time to have felt bad about it happening has passed.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not going to spend these next 2 months gaming out. Is he not? Will there do this? All I know is that everybody needs to get their mind around the resisting and what, like we said on the final word this week, what's the plan? So I'm going to that Zoom call because I need to hear a plan.
Yeah. Well, you guys didn't need this. You could have written it in the New York Times. For Black women, America has revealed to us her true self. One of our first callers on Monday was one of our beloveds. I can't remember which. Tanya in Ohio, and I said, you know what? Give Black ladies a second to feel broken. Don't tell Black ladies how to feel this morning or this week. In the New York Times, from the moment Kamala Harris entered the presidential race, Black women could see the mountaintop. But underneath their hope and determination was a persistent worry. Was America ready to elect a Black woman? The painful answer arrived this week. It affirmed the worst of what many Black women believed about their country, that it would rather choose a man who was convicted of 34 felonies, who spewed lies and falsehood, disparaged women and people of color, pledged to use the powers of the federal government to punish his political opponents, and then send a woman of color to the White House. Many Democrats saw the brutal political environment for the party, peppered with anger about President Biden's leadership, as more to blame for Ms. Harris' crushing loss than the double-edged sword of racism and sexism, but others, reflecting on a campaign devoid of controversy or obvious missteps by a qualified candidate who almost never held out her race or gender as reasons to vote for her, found it difficult to ignore suspicions about why Trump won with such ease. This isn't a loss for Black women, it's a loss for the country, said the founder of Black Women for Kamala. America has revealed to us her true self, and we have to decide what we do with her from here.
She on her own. America on her own. Because let me tell you something. I literally said yesterday, she got to get off my team. I don't want to hear. I don't want some sad white woman coming up to me crying about this, that, and the other. Let me tell you, you got to go take care of your own. Own, because I sat here for 3 weeks and I had to listen to how I need to get Black men in line. It wasn't Black men. And again and again and again and again in elections, that's all America does is talk down to Black folk. Okay,
and the Black women do all the work of the Democratic Party.
Do all the work. We do. Black women do all the work, and then we still gotta hear and be lectured to what we ain't doing on our side. But you know who didn't turn on this country? Black folk. Again.
I mean, and understand this. It's more than just they didn't vote for Kamala. They voted for him. It would be one thing if we were talking about people winning that booth and just didn't cast a vote for president. They affirmatively voted for the bigot, for the white nationalist. And when people talk to me about the economy, do you remember anything at that Madison Square Gardens discussion about the economy? If they talked about the economy, it was only to blame minorities for it. It was only to blame immigrants for it.
That's the key. If things aren't right in your life, it's the brown people.
That's exactly,
Yes.
and people affirmatively voted for that. Don't get me started on the Latino men.
Oh no, please start.
And let me tell you something. And when the deportations start, I'm gonna be sitting over here with my arms folded.
I'm telling you what you're seeing, what we're seeing on Black Twitter and Black, Instagram and everything is in TikTok over and over. And I'm seeing Black people, Black women especially, saying, you're not going to get me off the couch to march for you because this is what you voted for. You're not going to get, when I think about how we ran out of their houses because of the Muslim ban
Yeah.
to see how these people voted. It's one thing to go in there and vote for him, but then to turn around and vote for your abortion rights.
Yep.
Yeah. No, it makes no
That
sense.
to me is a very clear divide about what I'm voting for and what I'm not voting for.
So, I'm sure you've read a million different analysis. I don't know where this one's from. A fatal flaw of Harris's campaign that doomed her election bid: an inability to separate herself from an unpopular president whose approval ratings have hovered around 40% for most of his 4 years in the White House. Well, there's a lot of different ways to break that down. Like we were saying, I don't know that Biden would have done any better at 40%. I think, this was bigger than that. It was like this like what you just said, this whole anger about the economy that they brought all of Trump's racist lies.
Yeah, it's anger about minorities. It's anger about the loss of white power. What it's angry about is a demographic shift that the media has been very good about telling white people was going to come.
Yeah.
So that's what this was about. The idea that she could have done anything differently in her campaign.
Can you
and
imagine
somehow jettisoned
after,
her black female list?
Yeah, after Biden got pushed out, can you imagine if she bashed Biden? How would that have played with the Democratic base?
Said she was disloyal, not working in favor of Democrats. They would have blamed her for every down ballot loss.
Yeah.
These people, this is a huge, much larger percentage of our country than I thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is, given Harris's status as a sitting vice president, she never fit the mold of a traditional change candidate. She remained tethered to Biden, staying loyal to him, even as Americans made clear they disapproved of his handling of inflation and migration at the southern border. Again, we talk endlessly, but about the mainstream media's, just both sides doing it and downplay, just the economy and Biden's accomplishments.
Yeah.
Then you add Fox News right-wing radio stations and right-wing podcasts that just echoed every one of Trump's lies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and understand something. When people say they're worried about immigration, that's coding. They're not worried about immigration. Most of them have no relationship to immigration. They're not living anywhere near an immigrant community. They're not seeing resources go to somebody else. What they are seeing is an influx of brown people and black people, and they don't like that. They don't like the idea of it because it is not affecting them.
Well, that's what I was saying. If we had lost on, issues that were actually true, if Haitians were eating pets and they were doing transgender surgery on your kids in school without asking you, or what else, taking your FEMA money and giving it to illegal immigrants, if any of that was true,
right?
Of
course not.
We're in a different universe now. We're not debating actual issues.
No. The only people I feel like I can march for right now are trans people, because they're already the most endangered community, and this is just a license to mess with people.
Yeah. So to your point earlier, just to finish this story, Harris underperformed with voters of color, particularly Latino voters, but also black voters in urban centers such as Philadelphia, Detroit, and Milwaukee. Harris she still carried black voters 86% to 12%.
Yeah, how is that underperforming?
Yeah, I mean, and Latino voters 53 to 45%. But in 2020, Biden won black voters by 92 to 8%. And Latino voters 65% to 32%. I'm sure Steve Kornacki was making you stroke out too, doing the comparison numbers with Biden. Julian Castro said, I think this calls into question a lot of the traditional identity politics. This is going to rewrite, I think, how the parties approach Latinos and other groups. I mean, there's so many elements to this whole thing, right? This macho dude bro thing, I guess, that everybody's talking about.
Again, I feel like the media and America feels okay to talk down to black people. Black men, pull up your pants.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do this. We got to send Obama out to talk to you. Nobody is talking to white women.
Yeah.
Who's talking to white women?
Yeah.
Who's talking to Latino men? Okay?
But you don't have to worry about their vote, because I don't think they're going to be here anymore.
Okay?
Yeah.
I don't know, and I'm a little concerned because people often think I'm Puerto Rican. I get that a lot.
What did somebody
They
tweet?
snatching them up.
Leopards are about to have leopards have already started to eat their faces. It's the leopards are going to have a face buffet.
Yeah.
Right? At the leopard face eating party. People are like, wait, I didn't think the leopard was going to eat my face. I mean, it's already started. We were talking about the company that was told they're not getting Christmas bonuses because of the tariffs they know are coming, and they got to buy all their material now. So they can't. I mean.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Your
You know what?
candidate
All I'm going to,
won.
ha, you
I'm
ain't
gonna
getting
sit
the
here.
Christmas bonus.
Let me tell you something. I'm sitting here on this riverbank, drinking my tea, watching them try to ride across with that scorpion on their back.
Yes,
And every
I'm telling
time
you.
they dip under the water, I'm be like, you look wet. You need a towel, you look wet.
Francis, you look like you're on the cover of a Deep Purple album. First of all,
I'm
you're just
telling you, this is how I
hiding.
feel. These are my feelings. This coloring is my feelings.
understand. Okay,
Angry and
She's in a
sad.
purple
That's
state.
Good. That's good.
she's in a purple haze.
Yeah.
21 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show brought to you by Malcolm Nance, as he does, has written an amazing. You must read this. A Trump victory, if so, break glass in case of emergency. MalcolmNance.substack.com. Malcolm, you'll forgive us if we're not jingly this morning.
Good.
Can I just read a little bit? You said the United States has voted for a dictatorship and decisively. The Supreme Court will be lost for most of the century. Women will lose most of their reproductive rights and lives. White people happily voted to impose tyranny over all other races and creeds. So what can you do that doesn't involve good bourbon? Let's face it, America has fundamentally changed from what it was founded to be. It is now an autocracy ruled by the white tribe. Here's what I wrote a few weeks ago for that great break glass moment. Read it and weep, then get busy. We have work to do. This is exactly what I needed this morning because, you and I, whatever our faults, we've got no quit in us. We love this country too. When Donald Trump said, it's, I'm giving you back your country. No, it's our country too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's our country, but let's put some things on the table here. First off, I know that people are already starting their analyzing and who's responsible and who's at fault and what can we do for the midterm. Just stop it. This ship is on fire and it's sinking. And until you realize that you have a madman at the helm. And the question is, what can you do to protect yourself, your friends, your followers, and your family? That's what you need to take care of right now. I wrote in that Substack piece there that, hey, the hard reality is you need to accept this now. You need to accept that the United States voted overwhelmingly for dictatorship. And it was boosted by white men, white women, and surprisingly Latino men.
Yeah.
Including people that know that their fellow citizens could be rounded up. I wrote a Substack about that before. The hallmarks of civil war could all start in the roundups of citizens on the street. So until go have a good cry, right? Get it out of your system. I was grieved like I'd lost my wife again.
Yeah.
But get it out of your system and start standing up and understanding you need to start taking steps together or you're all going to drown alone.
Yeah. I mean, you said some of you will feel the same as you felt in 2016. You'll feel shame and grief, but now at a collapse of understanding of how the Trump train hit you into the mix, your wits are torn asunder, your heart aches in a deep throbbing pain. You feel as if a close loved one has died. You will be correct. Benjamin Franklin's words now ring true. We were a republic if we could keep it. We did not, and it died today. So welcome to America, the tyranny. What is now dying is the American experiment itself and our Russian enemies. Trademark Malcolm Nance, right up till yesterday, phoning in bomb threats to minority area polling centers. You said, learned long ago and passed on to the right-wing extremist toadies was that the fastest way to kill democracy was to use democracy as the very knife to slit its throat. We do not have a president. We now have a king with all the powers King George had at the time of the American Revolution. I mean, we did this to ourselves, Malcolm, to your point.
We did. We did this to ourselves. And there's one thing that I want to absolve some people. Apparently, there were 18 million Democrats that didn't turn out, people that had voted before, that did not turn out at all. And I'm going to put it right on the table. Look, it's not even about a black woman. It's about a woman. Those numbers were almost the same as Hillary Clinton's numbers. Every time Steve Kornacki went to the big board and started doing an analysis of 2024, 2020, and 2016, Kamala Harris's numbers came out almost exactly close to Hillary Clinton's.
I mean,
the misogyny, men, I'm sorry, just let me get this off of my chest. We apparently hate women, and you've just froze into amber the loss of all women's rights. Your mother, your sisters, your daughters. You are not men. What you are is you want to rule and lord over them. You want. Apparently, The Handmaid's Tale was a documentary and a template for you.
Stephanie Miller.
Get it. Listen, here's a silver lining, and that is that we have already done Denver Sexy Liberal because, hang on, hold please, thousands of fist-sized spiders soon to march through a large swath of Colorado.
Yeah.
So it's that time of year again when part of Colorado turns into arachnophobes' worst nightmare. Thousands of tarantulas emerge to find a mate in the southern part of the state. So, Angela V. Shelton, I just want to give you a silver lining. We already played Colorado, so...
Okay, what needs to happen now, and I'm calling out to Biden, is we need to give everybody 24 hours to get out of the state. Check their bags, though. Make sure they don't bring spiders with them. And then we're going to have to nuke Colorado.
Shake out your shoes, Make sure those
shake your shoes out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frangela's been right about everything, including the spider cabal. So,
Yep.
Just saying.
I mean, wait till Trump makes a spider his something cabinet position. Then y'all everybody gonna be calling me talking about he made a tarantula as Secretary of Defense. Oh my God, you were right all along.
Health and Human Services.
Give me 15. Oh my God. Koki McCokespoon, Jr. Hold on.
I'm going to be heavily involved on the transition. I want to make sure now that we know who the real players are, the people who will actually deliver on the president's message, the people who don't think that they know better than the duly elected president of the United States. I want to make sure that those people are in his cabinet. I want to make sure that those people are in this administration.
All right. Only people that are dumber than he is. Wow, what could possibly go wrong? Only people that don't know he's a moron. Oh my God.
I don't know. Can you find that many people?
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah. It's just, this is going to be the first time in a long time I don't even try to memorize the cabinet members.
Nope. I'm going to tell you something. When the Tea Party is driving the bus, the Tea Party is in charge of America now. And I want everybody to acknowledge that. 14 years later.
All right, 29 minutes after the hour. Fridays with Frangela. We can still have nice things.
let's get loud and let's get going. Because if a young woman in Florida, where a 6-week ban is now the law of the land, can get up today and find her way through, we can too. And if a soldier in a trench in eastern Ukraine who just saw their best ally walk away from them can keep fighting, we can too. And if a high school student who's going to go to school today in a country that's going to arm mass shooters to the teeth, and they're still going to get through it, we can too.
Oh, we're going to need our alpha liberals. Steve.
That was
tweets,
Eric Swalwell.
Yes, Eric Swalwell. Steve tweets, though I find solace in the community of the Stephanie Miller Show, as for the news networks, I can't stomach the blame on analysis that ignores their 4 years of lack of coverage of the administration's accomplishments. Thank you. I think the key there, Chris, as long as
Stephanie Miller
is the only part of your diet, that's the important part.
Sure.
As Mick says, hey,
Buy her
Steph,
stuff.
I love you in a weird way. Thank you. I need that. I need weird and regular. I thoroughly enjoyed you and your team. After 18 years and 10 hours a day of listening to American politics, I'm giving it all up except your show. Thank you. I think that's the key. Thank you.
And buy her stuff.
More important, it's not just me. I keep saying it, Frangela. It's you. It's all of these amazing progressive voices that, that this platform, and not just me, John Fugelsang and Dean Obadala and
Hal.
Zerlina, yes, Hal Sparks, Zerlina Maxwell, Dean Obadala. Lenny in Monterey said, back on Thursday for the love and humor. Can't live without you all. Admit I had to cut back on my political intake, but I cannot live without you guys. We can't live without you guys either. Frangela, we've been saying this. We're going to need each other more than ever now, and
Yes.
this is one of the places we can meet, to laugh, to cry. Francis, you were talking about everybody's process is different. You're like, I haven't gotten mad yet. We went through shock, numbness, despair. I cried yesterday on the air. We're going to get angry. Whatever your process is, take care of yourself. Lift up someone you love. Tell them to lift you up if you need it, right? I mean, we got to... And also laughter. That's why you guys are so magical. And everybody at LA Sexy Liberal said that, is that our strength is going to be in our humor and our ability to laugh.
Yes, and in our community too.
Yeah.
And that, I have to say thank you, Stephanie, and thank you to the mooks. Thank you to the regulars. I mean, I have met personally so many great people through this community, and I know so many people in this community who worked so hard. And my husband said this. He was like, you guys, he's like, all of you guys have run this race. That's why you're tired too. Yeah. You've been running this race since January. Yeah. We have been running this race, and I understand it. And we have worked hard. There's like so much light in this community. Yeah. So much good. Yeah. And I'm just so proud of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right, Francis. You echo. We are all exhausted. I think the entire country is exhausted.
And we did the right thing. All of us. If you listen to this, you did the thing. You did everything you could do. It's, there's nothing we could have done to erase 400 years of racism and sexism. There's nothing, so we did, all of the people, absolutely know that.
Yeah.
That you were on the right side of history.
Yeah, and that remains true. And it just, it was a great quote about, wrong doesn't suddenly become right.
Right.
Because they won this time, and so I saved one more for you guys. Tony said, Steph, at the end of the day, you can overcome the racism or the misogyny, but not both. Ask Stacey Abrams. She lost to Kemp somehow in an election that elected both Ossoff and Warnock. In North Carolina last night, they elected a male Democrat for their governor, but not a female for president. They voted for the white Nazi in North Carolina, but the black Nazi was a little too much, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mark Robinson.
He's black.
Yeah.
It's that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about when you parse out this vote. But for me, what I have to ask myself is, how do we, like I said, I'm going to listen to Gavin Newsom's call, go on that call tonight, because I need to know how to move forward. And I need to understand what the plan is. And I also think this is an excellent opportunity out there, especially for white people, to get more woke. I know you woke listen and get more woke. Do the research, do the work, figure out what you can do. Because this is not the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but as long as I'm drawing breath, I'm fighting. I'm resisting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm black in this country, I have to resist.
That's you know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna wake up black tomorrow again. I know it.
You know, and you know what? And I'm going to tell you, different than 2016, I feel different.
Yeah,
I'm a
this is
different
different.
woman.
Yeah.
I'm a different person. And post-COVID, especially, let me tell you something about how tough these knuckles are. All right? You know, I pulled up, I balled up into a fetal position in 2016.
Yeah.
I don't feel that way this year.
Yeah.
This time, because I've seen this fool.
And you
and
raise a good point. Barack Obama talked about this as well, the president. He said, you know, it's also was being through the pandemic. You know,
Yes.
we are changed as a country, and part of it. But I mean, I think what all of us that kills us, we're like, it was Trump's mismanagement of this pandemic that killed so many of us, made the inflation here so much worse than it was anywhere else. And President Biden, excuse me, has led a spectacular recovery. But because prices are still too high, you know, and the mainstream media didn't help, there's Biden sitting at 40%. So whatever we want to fight, and we all felt he shouldn't have been pushed out. And Lawrence O'Donnell said historically, if you replace a candidate this late, there's no way he probably would have suffered ageism, you know, and the 40% approval rating and millions of people buying Trump's racist lies. So, you know, here we are.
I don't think this is I don't think that this was a mandate about Biden. I think it was a mandate about racism and about what people want the future, those people, the Trump people want the future of America to be. They were not interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion. They wanted to maintain white supremacy, and they want to codify it back into law. When they're using laws from the 1800s to justify taking women's rights on their bodies, hear them.
Angela, the headline in the Washington Post is today: far-right extremists celebrate, see an opportunity in second Trump win. In a burst of hate and misogyny, MAGA militants cheered the return of the president they consider an ally. Good Morning Patriots, we did it. That was on Telegram, of course. The media platforms across the spectrum of MAGA-aligned extremists, anti-government militia groups, white nationalists, Proud Boys, Christian supremacists, QAnon-style conspiracy theorists all expressed a sense of jubilation mixed with an eagerness to exact vengeance on political opponents. That legitimized, normalized, and sort of gave permission to extremist groups who really are white supremacist and deeply misogynistic to come out of the woodwork and feel validated, said one expert. Extremists focused on black and Hispanic women for attack, bragging and preventing a DEI hire from leading the nation. They urged Oprah Winfrey and other famous black women who supported Harris to leave the country. They fantasize about dumping Hispanic women and children across the border in Mexico. Protect yourself, protect other people. As Kamala Harris always told us, please let's try to lift up whoever we can lift up. Let them be about beating people down. Let's protect ourselves and protect each other, right?
Absolutely.
There was a great video I saw. Angela sent it to me, where this black woman is saying, you know what? Y'all want to tear this country down to the studs? Come on.
Can't stop
Let's
you.
see it. Because this is what you want. Get to it. You know, and it is... I am appalled at white people. I'm appalled at this country.
Yeah.
I can't even be angry yet. I'm still stunned and shocked that people would vote the way that they did.
And I'm not, it's not okay.
No.
It's not okay
I'm
that they did.
ashamed of these people.
No, it's not okay. It's not something we're going to forget. Like, this is where I had to part ways with Biden and Harris. You know, when they're saying, oh, and we're going to have a smooth transition of power, a peaceful transition. We always were when it's us. Nobody was worried about that.
Yeah.
You know, like acting like, look what this shows. In tech, people believe in the voting system now and they can't. No, it doesn't. It's like, they won. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and as I said over and over, on a solid wall of lies. We mentioned Brian Tyler Cohen, our friend. He wrote, Republicans have a right-wing media ecosystem that repeats GOP talking points over and over ad nauseum until they're seared into your cerebral cortexes. Not only is there no equivalent on the left, but plenty of Democratic politicians still refuse to bolster independent progressive creators. Notably, many pundits and observers dubbed the past election the podcast election, as Trump used the powerful network of right-leaning podcasts and YouTube shows to activate his base. They still give all the juicy interviews to the mainstream media, still break news on the mainstream media, who's not our friend. Still pretend the mainstream media is on our team. They're not. And in fact, they bent over backwards not to be viewed as the liberal media. Democratic politicians could benefit from validating the very progressive outlets that are actually doing the work to support them. Thank you, Brian. He said, sometimes I have to beg elected officials' offices for months for a 10-minute interview, only to see them pop up on cable news multiple times a week. Most people don't consume news via TV, and the only ones who do are already high-info voters and already on board. It shouldn't be this hard to seek validation from the very people whose agenda we're trying to promote. Thank you. And we're promoting the truth. I mean, sorry,
Yeah.
I know that lost this time, but it's because they have such a giant megaphone for their lies.
You know what, Stephanie? You just went around this country. You went to 15 cities besides doing your 3-hour-a-day show, 15 hours, right? You showcased some of the best legal minds, some of the best politicians. I mean, in every city, and
Comedians, mostly.
and comedians, you out here you've been doing that work.
You called, phone banked.
Yeah.
You did. You know what I'm saying? Like, you donated.
Yeah.
You did all the things.
Yeah, I think we all feel like we did. It's not just about me. I mean, we all did. Everybody I know,
Yeah.
Dr. Redlener, right, Chris? 80 years old. He and his wife out knocking on doors in Pennsylvania. Everybody
going to
I know.
Ukraine.
Yeah, everybody I know did something, did phone banking, did
everything
door
they
knocking.
could do. And these people, these are not good people.
No, they're not.
These are
They're
not
just
decent
not.
people who've been brainwashed. These are bigots.
Yeah. Well, I get it. You're right. I mean, and the likes of Trump and Vance telling us now we should unite and be kind to each other. Now, a warning. You ran this meanest, most name-calling, despicable, racist, sexist campaign ever. I mean, I'm saying just the maggots that have called the show or, on Twitter with me. They're horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they get to
Celebrate.
Yeah,
They
yesterday,
get to run around.
Dana and I were crying, and that guy, Thom.
That guy.
He's like, oh, look at the two ditch lickers crying. I mean, you know what? Screw you. I'm sorry. I don't want to unite with people that are sending black people texts what time to show up to pick cotton.
And they don't want to unite with you. Hear the no.
Yeah.
Like, hear the no.
Yeah, they're not into you.
No, they are definitely not into us. And we're not going to talk them into it. I'm not going to waste my breath.
No.
And these people are just wrong. If you voted for this man, I don't need to see you or hear you ever.
Yeah. I mean, and I get, and I can't take it anymore. The whole the woke politically correct. Do you think a sexy liberal show, anyone would consider that like politically correct and prissy? And I mean,
I don't have a problem with political correctness either. I'm trying to understand basic manners is what my grandma called it.
Yeah.
It's
just not punching down. It's just not being a D to people that are different than you. That's all.
Yeah. I just don't, I can't hear with they feel like they didn't have power because they couldn't use the N-word with impunity. Like that's the thing. Like, come on.
Right. It's not
trying to
being too woke to not want to call Puerto Ricans a pile of garbage.
Yeah. I mean, since his first campaign has done it.
But you know what?
It's not new information.
This is the thing. They got called a pile of trash and liked it and voted for it.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother psychological. We're going to have my best friend, Dr. Wanda, on because we're going to need some major psychology in this country.
Help. Dr. Wanda, we have studied biscuitology.
Yes.
And
I think that's it. You need to open a university that teaches biscuitology. That's it.
It's at once a disease and a syndrome.
Yes.
It's not curable.
No.
It's not, unfortunately.
Well, because
But-
it's the leopards eating my face party. It's like they don't.
Yep.
Oh, he doesn't mean me. He means the other.
For sure means you. I hear people talk about deportations and how is he going to pull it off. I was like, do you understand that these are people who don't care about being precise, who don't care about? They will just round up black and brown people and ship them to Mexico. They round me up as I'm going. My name's Angela. I'm black. I'm born here. You can figure it out later. There are kids who will never find their families from
That's
the family
right.
separation.
And they don't care.
They don't care. They don't care how much it costs. They're in it for the lynch party of it. They're in it for the photo shot.
He literally
They
said
want those shots.
He literally said yesterday, it doesn't matter how much it costs.
Yeah, the mass deportation. They said, well, what's that going to
That's
cost? It
what I'm
doesn't matter. There's
saying.
no price tag, is
No
what he
price
said.
tag.
How
No
is he going
price
to pull
tag.
it off? Oh, I can think of 1,000 ways to pull it off. First of all, he can let every one of those January 6 people out of jail and make them an ICE officer. That's all, and all they have to do is round up brown and black people, throw them over the border, and they won't care. If they're not going to be like, can I see your papers? You'll wish they asked to see people's papers. They do not care.
That was the most chilling words that Angela V. Shelton has ever spoken. You'll wish they asked to see your papers.
You're going to wish for that.
Okay, 49 minutes after the hour. This portion of the show. Welcome to Hitler. Carlos, one of the things, because a lot of us are saying, oh my God, the Latino vote, obviously, tipped this in certain states. And we're like, this is the guy that opened his campaign saying all Mexicans are rapists and closed it saying Puerto Ricans are garbage. And I get what you're saying, that, it's not a monolith, that Latinos are not a monolith. You know what reminds me of, Chris, when I phone banked, I called one guy, Carlos, that I called, his name was Jesus. And he said, oh, I'm voting for Trump. And I'm like, oh, do you know a lot about Kamala Harris? And he's like, I don't want to know anything, and hung up on me. And like you said, is it machismo? Is it machismo? Is it,
Trump also insulted half the white population, right?
Yeah. Women.
You support these.
Yeah.
So, we're not a monolith. Tex-Mex is not the same as California Mexican,
Right.
and Cuban is not the Puerto Rican, et cetera, et cetera. But, I don't think finger pointing really does anything. I don't think there's any Democratic candidate. I posted this. There's no coexist deity that was going to win this election against such oligarchs and billions of dollars and money. And that's just the case. Unfortunately, there's just too much money on the other side. If you see the last ads while I was watching football or sports or whatever were like 4-1 Trump. They just outspent. And Kamala, any Democratic candidate was going to be caught in a bind, right? I got to please Israel. I got to please Palestinians. I got to please Ukrainians. I got to invest in the country. It was just an impossible task. And
Carlos,
I don't think it has anything to do with running a campaign or Latinos or one specific group.
They were saying that, where is it? Most Latinos still vote Democratic, but the results suggested as a bloc, this fast-growing segment of the electorate, now about 20% of the population, is continuing to slowly shift to the right. Tuesday's results suggest many Latinos share Trump's concern about illegal immigration, despite the racist rhetoric he's used. I mean, first of all, I don't know whether people think, oh, he's not talking about me. He's talking about, other Latinos. But I mean, as I said at the opening of the show, Carlos, none of us is for illegal immigration. No one's for that. That's why we wanted to do this bill to fix it. Trump killed it. Now he'll do that same bill and go, see, I fixed it. I mean, it's...
Yeah.
But anyway.
It was dangerous. They had never before had a bipartisan support for this, and this is why I think even Lindsey Graham or one of the Republicans was afraid that, like, you're never going to get this. You're never going to get Democrats to come on board with this. You should sign it. But I agree. Maybe you could argue that there's some sort of machismo that appeals to the Latinos because this is a Joe Rogan-y kind of male toxicity.
Yeah.
I think there's some of that plays into it, but I don't even think of a quote-unquote a male Democratic candidate that was perfect was going to win this election.
Yeah.
I just think that Putin
No,
helped,
they were saying we do this
Netanyahu
every
helped.
4 years. It's the, throw the bums out. Oh, inflation. I don't like prices. I don't feel like the economy's good. Let's try
It was
something.
weird because I argued that restaurants were full. As Colin Cowherd brilliantly put it, restaurants were full, amusement parks were full, planes were full, people were going on vacations.
It's by every
black jobs were up.
By every metric. We have the best economy in the world.
Was up.
Yeah.
And inflation all over the world was high. We were doing better than, I think, all of the developed countries in the world. So, there's an expectation. This goes along with what I've always been saying. People expect to get everything they want, and the Republicans know that. And they divided it, and they conquered. It was very insidious the way they ran this campaign with the two wars happening, right, with Ukraine.
Yeah.
If you support Ukraine, do you have enough money to support Israel? If you support Israel, are you anti-Palestinian? There's just no way you could juggle all that with everybody expecting to get what they want.
And once again, the polls for wrong. I mean, renowned pollster Ann Seltzer, this is the Des Moines Register. She's the gold standard there, says she's obviously going to be reviewing her data. Trump, because remember, she had Kamala up by, what was it, 3, 5, 3.5 point, whatever. It was outside the margin of error. Trump won Iowa by 14 points. You know, I mean, the last national poll that came out had Kamala up by 5. A lot of the swing states had her up slightly, you know.
Yeah.
So I think part of this, Carlos, is the shock, you know, that we just literally, I think many people did not see this coming, you know, at all, because this.
You know what? It kind of sounds like the Republicans did, based upon their last couple of weeks of campaign, when he says, you don't have to vote anymore, and then calling anybody anything he wanted. It kind of means a conspiracy. Kind of me feels like they knew they were going to win no matter what.
Yeah.
It's like, let's just go ahead and do Nazi stuff out in the open.
In a
We're
normal
universe, we can say what we want now, you know?
Yeah, in a normal universe, Carlos, you go, this is the worst campaign ever. They've surgically alienated every single segment of the population. May have occurred. Okay, I found it, everybody. Okay. Tolstoy. Wrong does not cease to be wrong because the majority share in it. How about this one? Trending in Escanaba High School today, boys walking around telling the girls, your body, my choice, over and over. The effects of electing a rapist are immediate, and all I can do is cry. Nick Fuentes and others have been tweeting that, your body, my choice. You know, it's a meme for, you know. Here's a little Adam Kinzinger. Everybody keep your heads up. This isn't forever. And after America gets a taste of what it voted for, there will likely be a massive backlash. There will be lots of time to come. And I'm still in the trenches with you. Just going to take a little bit longer. Sorry, Frangela. Let me just get... here we go. Kathleen in Texas said, I tuned in yesterday to have someone to commiserate with and was angered by Chris's cheerfulness. I imagine he's loads of fun at a funeral. Needless to say, I will not be listening to your show today, maybe a long while before I listen.
I don't care.
Listen, everyone needs to get through this, however they get through this.
That's right.
Whatever phase you are in, Chris is
I'm
trying
gonna tell
to
you
soldier
something.
on.
They're gonna learn.
And
they're gonna learn.
I know.
It's education time, America. Get your school books out. Yes, get the chalkboard out because here we go, y'all.
And let me tell you about the I told you so's are gonna flow.
Yeah. This is the reason Republicans live in an alternate version of reality. If I believed all the things they believe, I probably would have voted Republican also. The problem is none of it is true. And that's why we thank you for supporting us all here in this community. Final word, Idiot of the Week, so necessary now. Thank you, Chris LeBoy. He is so exhausted, taking Monday and Tuesday off. Sean Comiskey will be here. Jody will be back. We love you, Frangela.
We love you, and we love all of you. Stay strong, people.
You too.
Hang in there, everybody. We see you Monday on The Stephanie Miller Show.